Hey Beth, B-Side Records, Mazzy here. I'm entering your contest. Wearing my t-shirt from the Spawn Ranch, Spawn movie ranch where the Manson family held up. And you can kind of see it in the new Tarantino film of this summer, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, my cheat sheet, and a little like fill light here to get my face young and sexy. That's what they do in Hollywood. Ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Okay. Okay. Beth, congratulations. Oh, this isn't like a subscriber. It's just a contest. The movie Maverick, the movie maiden, the movie maven, I should say, of the VC is Beth. And great channel if you don't know her. You should know her. Movies, Stranger Things, soundtracks, galore. I actually won her color video, so maybe I should be disqualified, but hey, that's fine. I just want to, I just like being considered. Okay, interesting array of questions. Oh, it's about games and movies and summertime, and I'll do what I can, and if I don't know it, I'll make it up. So, the first question is your favorite board game. Flip Your Wig, Milton Bradley, 1964. The Beatles, Flip Your Wig game. You want to see it? I bet you do. Paul, Ringo, John, and George, the quiet Beatle. Think you lost your love, I saw her yesterday. That's the only song I get for you. I'm not going to sing the bonus Never-Ending Story because I don't even know the song. I mean, I know the movie, but I don't know the song. So here's the board. So, and then here's the rules, and I don't want to tip it over too much, but you get the gist of this. Very rare, a collector's item, and it's in Mazzy's Beatle collection. So, there's the board game. Question number 2. Share 5 favorite 80s songs, bands, or artists. Okay, I'm going to do my favorite artists of the 80s. And it was actually harder than I thought because a lot of the bands that I like actually started in the 70s, went through the 80s. But I wanted to be a purist here for all people out there in VC land. I wanted to make sure the band put their first album out at least 1980 and beyond. Not because there's a bunch of bands that, late 70s, they've been around, then they kind of got bigger in the 80s. But Mazzy didn't want to do that. I'm a historian. I'm an archivist. I want to be truthful to the content here and to the essence of this contest for Beth. So, without further ado, 8 bands that are my favorite bands, close enough favorite. First one, Echo and the Bunnymen. March of 1980, I was in London, and I saw this record at the Virgin Megastore on Oxford Street, and I had no idea who the band was, and I simply bought it because that name, Echo and the Bunnymen, just cracked me up. Obviously, I saw them, I don't know if it was in 80 or 81 when they came through San Francisco, but I saw them pretty early on. But loved Echo and the Bunnymen. I actually saw them in Seattle 2 years ago as well here. But anyway. My favorite band of the 80s is probably the Smiths. The Queen is Dead. We all know Morrissey and Johnny Marr and the Boys, Rourke, and there we go. Anyway, Okay, so Queen is Dead. That's band number 2 of the 80s. Band number 3, REM, again, just under the, I think their first album was 1980. This is their second album, Reckoning, on IRS label, with hype sticker still intact. Love REM, still do, you know. Anyway, now the other 2 ones are a little offbeat. One's not so offbeat, depends on what you're taking of it. Live from Minneapolis, Bob Mould and Husker Du. Punk band, great punk band. Warehouse Songs and Stories, specially priced 2-record set. Love Husker Du. Saw them early on again. Follow Bob Mould on and off. But just when I saw the energy of this band, it was pretty cool. I mean, that was a great time for bands, right? Out of Minneapolis, or at least them and the Replacements at least. Saw them both then. But love that cover. How psychedelic is that? Dag Low, baby. Husker Du. Husker or Husker? Husker. We need Steve Carlson to help us pronounce these things, right? Another band that not a lot of people here know, they only had one album really, came out in 1980, and I did see them in the South Bay, in the Bay Area. Young Marble Giants, minimal trio, basically a bass singer and drums, right? Bass, guitar, organ, voice. And the one person plays guitar and organ. So the one song on here, well, the whole album is amazing, but I recommend this record. There's a CD, expanded CD that came out about a decade ago. But Young Marble Giants, this was on Rough Trade. This is Rough Trade number 8. And the song that I love, the opening song, Searching for Mr. Right. Great album. Great minimalist post-punk album. So those are my from the 80s. Okay, let's get a little fill light on Mazzy's lovely face here. Favorite summer movies. You know, I picked 5 movies. I have no idea if they came out in the summer. And I just know these are movies that I kind of have fun with. I kind of like. You know, not my all-time favorite movies. Maybe not even my all-time favorite summer movies. But I don't think in terms of that. I mean, I remember Jaws really exploded and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the big popcorn blockbuster thing, but didn't do it for me. But when I was a kid, probably the first one, again, I don't have no idea when these these movies came out, but Fantastic Voyage. And as a young, how old was I then? 14-year-old kid maybe? Raquel Welch getting out of that wetsuit, changing into her wetsuit or changing out of the wetsuit. Anything with Raquel Welch getting in or out of a wetsuit in this movie and in, 2 Million Years BC, I think was the other one. She had a little sort of prehistoric bikini on. Come on. Raquel Welch, my generation. I mean, she's older than me, but Raquel Welch. Fantastic Voyage. If you haven't seen this movie, it's great. It's the analog effects where they shrink the people down, put them in a submarine, and they go through the bloodstream is friggin' amazing. So, Fantastic Voyage. The remake with Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, whatever they called it, great movie. Cabin Boy, a classic, better than Citizen Kane. I tell you, this is with Chris Elliott. If you know Chris Elliott from David Letterman, and he's on that TV show Schitt's Creek. Cabin Boy, a classic in my mind. Maybe that's the only place it's a classic. It's got, I think, the only cinematic cameo by David Letterman. But Cabin Boy, Mazzy rates it highly, but don't throw anything at me after you watch this movie. Cabin Boy. Now, seriously, a good summer movie because baseball is, the boys of summer. But Barry Levinson's A Natural, Robert Redford. This is a serious pick. Great movie. One of the best sports movies. I'm not even a big sports person, but I love The Natural. Easy Rider. 50 years ago, it came out. Again, I show this on my 1969 video because to me it's one of the great anti-hero films that changed Hollywood in 1969. And also the date of this recording is the 16th of August 2019, and today Peter Fonda passed away. So my hat's off to Peter Fonda and Easy Rider. Again, not a summer movie, but just a movie I'm in the mood for because I'm going to go see the 40th anniversary of it. That it's coming out. That I'm going to see a recut, the final edition, but it's Apocalypse Now, one of the great surreal films about Vietnam. But it's a very surreal type film, a great film. Marlon Brando, Martin Sheen, Dennis Hopper, a young Lauren Fishburne, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. An amazing film that everyone needs to see. This is the 3-disc full disclosure Blu-ray, which has the original cut, the Redux cut that adds things. The Redux cut, I think, is not needed. It's going to be interesting to see what this final cut is that I'm going to see next week. But Apocalypse Now, an all-time favorite. I saw it the first Friday it opened. My buddies, we took off work on a Friday, and we all went to the first showing at 10 in the morning at the North Point Theater in San Francisco, where Coppola and George Lucas used to test screen their movies in San Francisco. And 10th Row Center, North Point Theater, they suggested. So we got there to sit in 10th Row Center to watch Apocalypse Now with the great music by The Doors and many others. But the horror, Saigon, shit, I'm still in Saigon. Okay. Next question. Oh, I'm out of order. I went out of order. I'm sorry, Beth. Do I get the merits? Okay, favorite thing about summertime. You know, I have to go back to when I was a kid because I work for myself. I have no clue about summertime anymore. You know, I don't have normal vacations. I travel for work. I do take time off. But I don't think of it like when you're a teacher or when you're a student. So let's go back to high school a little bit here. And grammar school and junior high school. I remember the summer times when it was late in San Francisco, riding my bike with my buddies to Golden Gate Park. And when it was late till, 8:30 at night or 9 o'clock, whatever it was, we used to ride our bikes all down through Sunset Boulevard, not to be confused with Hollywood Sunset Boulevard, but in San Francisco, through the Sunset District to Golden Gate Park and run around, drive around where the planetarium is, drive around where the Japanese tea garden is, and I still know every path and cutaway and secret passage in Golden Gate Park. To me, one of the great urban parks of the world, and I think it's the best urban park in America. I mean, Central Park's wonderful, but Golden Gate Park has it beat with the De Young Museum and just planetarium, aquarium. It's an amazing place. And as a kid, having the freedom, this is we were 13, 14, 15, before we got our driver's license, driving in the summer evenings into Golden Gate Park and hanging out there, and it was a blast. So, there we go. That's kind of sentimental. Mazzy gets sentimental. Okay. Tell me a strange experience. Wow. Making these videos, this is a friggin' strange experience. I tell a lot of stories in my videos. If those of you who watch my videos know that. Strange experience. I've had a lot, but I don't know if they're strange. I guess the strangest one, and this gets real sentimental, and I touched on it briefly in one of my whack-a-moles, is that a little over a year ago, I found out who my real mother was, and that I had a living aunt and a living half-brother. I was adopted, literally, out of St. Mary's Hospital in San Francisco, and my parents who raised me were wonderful, wonderful. In the 50s, you weren't told you were adopted. It was not a thing. It wasn't like, you know, late 60s where it was an open thing, and records were sealed. So the irony is I didn't find out I was even adopted till I was around 33, 34, and that's a whole other story. But there's a reason for it. It was a different time and everything. But anyway, my parents who raised me are deceased. They've been deceased for some time. And a year and a half ago or so, I did an ancestry DNA thing. I'm not going to tell the whole story. Back and forth, 6 months go by, inboxes, responses. I found out that I have a half-brother who lives in Eureka, California, and he watches these videos. So, hey, Alan, love you, babe. Love you, bro. And he's in one of my whack-a-moles, too. I have an aunt who's down there, and my birth mother passed away about 10, 11 years ago, so I never met her. But strange experience. I drove down last summer, or last spring, a little over a year ago, maybe now. I'm blanking on time. Time passes by when you get to be old like me, older like me. But I drove down Eureka, California from Seattle, and that trip down, I did some videos, some Instagram sort of on the road personal chats about that. And it was such a wonderful, scary, a little bit emotional experience. It was a strange experience, but in the end, it was a beautiful experience. So you can all cry now, you can all shed a tear, but shed a tear of joy for Mazzy and finding his blood relatives. Blood Simple, baby. That's a movie, you know, Coen Brothers. Okay. So, I ain't gonna sing the never-ending story because I don't even know the song. There's a never-ending story. It never ends, it goes on forever. It's a never-ending story. It goes on and 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 on. 'Cause it never ends. It's a story that never ends, baby. Thanks, Beth. Good luck. Mazzy loves you. Out.